Hello, in this video I'd like to cover how you can customize the Worldox GX4 file list interface to give it your favorite view. So we'll start over here on the left side on the tree tabs, and you can change the order in which these tree tabs are displayed by clicking on the little icon down here with the tools. It'll bring up the dialog to configure your tree tabs. If you want them in a different order, let's say you want your favorite matters to be the very first thing in the list, you can use the up arrow to move it up. So you just use the up and down arrows next to the icon. So if I want my favorite files to go up second, I can go ahead and do that. If I want, let's say, my computer to go down below workspaces, I can do that. If you have workflows, so if you've purchased the workflow add-on, you want to add that in there, you can do that. The cloud sync, that's going to work if you're using OneDrive with local sync. It'll just let you display your OneDrive local sync within the Worldox interface. And then you have your when mouse is over panel extend to fit. So if there's more text in here and you want it to expand out when you got your mouse in here, this panel will expand out so that you can read everything in there. So if you want that to be turned on, you can check that option. And then click OK, and notice it changed this around. And now let's say I want my favorite matters actually displayed. I can choose that. You have your flat view or your tree view, so you can decide which view that you want that set in. Now once we get our left decided, you can also collapse this. So if I click on this blue left arrow here, notice it collapses it. It just shows me the tabs on the left that I can gain access to, or I can expand that. So depending on what type of screen real estate you want this to use and if you want this visible or not, is whether you want this expanded or contracted. Another thing that you can do is if you have certain ones that you're not using that often, you can shrink this down to give this more real estate here, and you'll still have your buttons, but notice you no longer have text along these ones as they were contracted. So if I expand it, notice they come back, make it smaller. I just see the ones that I use the most frequently, and the other ones I just see with a button without text. So you can customize and get that the way you want it. Next, I'll move on to your column headers. So you can put different column headers up here for different metadata and information, and also change the sort order. So if you want to put up a new column header, just put your mouse in this gray area right here, and then left click and a menu will pop up. And so let's say I want metadata fields from my cabinet. I can choose cabinet, client, code, left click again in this gray area, matter code, doc type code. So I can put whatever fields that I want up here. Let's say I'm using categories at my place of business or at my firm, and I want the categories column displayed. I can do that. If you want to change your sort order, if you put your mouse cursor on the column header and put it in the blank area and click, it'll change and sort on that column. If you click again, it'll change it to a different order. So you can go ascending or descending. Notice when you sort on a date, it puts it in groupings. So I have modified yesterday, modified 2 days ago, modified last week. If you don't want these groupings displayed, then if I just right click on the column header and choose hide groupings, that'll take the groupings away. If I want the groupings back, once again I just right click on the date column that you're sorting on and show groupings. And these groupings are only going to show up if you're sorting your list on a date. So if you're sorting on like description or client number, you're not going to see the date groupings. You'll see, in this case, it's sorting it and breaking it down by client number. But let me go ahead and get back to sorting on the date modified, because that's how I want my list sorted, with the most recent document on top and the oldest on the bottom. And I'm going to get rid of these groupings. So I'm going to go ahead and right click on that modified column header and hide the groupings. Now, if let's say you wanted to rearrange these column headers, let's say I want the categories between the date modified and the client, I can take this And if I put my mouse cursor over the actual text, notice it changes to a hand. If I hold down the mouse button, the left mouse button, while I have that over there, it'll let me drag it and drop it and reposition it. And now notice my categories column is here, followed by my client matter doc type. So that's how you arrange your column headers and change your sort order. Now I'm going to go to the bottom tabs. Right now I have the full list displayed. I have other options down here, such as my filters tab. So I'll see my list, and I've got my filters here. If I want to use my filters to filter this list down, I have that capability. Or you have a metadata tab, where whatever file is highlighted in the list, you see the document's metadata and its file attribute information in this list. So if we want to go with, let's say, the filters tab, then we can resize this. So let's say we pull this down, and now we have this scroll bar, so we can scroll through the filters. And we want this amount of screen space allocated for it. Now you have one other thing off to the right, which is your viewer. So if whatever document's highlighted, if I click the view, it'll view whatever document's highlighted, but you're giving up this screen real estate to do so. If you want this hidden, we'll just click on this, it'll close it up, and then I've got more information in my file list. Now once you get the interface set the way that you want it, then you want to click on this Customize button and say, make this my favorite view. Now once you do it, this view will go into effect as the default view whenever you go into a new file list on the next time you restart Worldox. So for this current Worldox session, it's going to continue to use whatever view that was set up when you loaded Worldox this time. In order for this new view that you just customized and set up to go into effect, you need to shut down the Worldox client and then restart the Worldox client, and then your new view will go into effect.